And welcome back, everyone, to the next episode of A Conversation with Kely. This is episode 40-something, I think 43, something like that. Finally back here once again to talk about the final four of Big Brother 23. Pretty eventful week, definitely. We'll get into that, but I am, of course, here with my lovely and beautiful co-host, Allie. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I saw Dear Evan Hansen tonight, which I enjoyed it.
That's good. We're now going to bring on our guest who we've actually been wanting to get him on for a while, like all the way back with the BB Can when we first started this podcast and talking about BB Can. He didn't watch that season, but he is watching this, and we made sure to get him on as a result. Here he is. I've had him on before. He was here for the fucking Big Brother 22 retrospective we did last year, so he's back once again. Brandon Wu.
Hello.
What's up? How you doing?
I'm doing well, although this week has been weird because of being tired and all that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mercury retrograde.
Yeah,
I can't speak today. That shows why I'm tired, and also the fact that seasonal depression's already hitting me for some reason. So we'll see.
I feel that. I do feel that. But yeah, before we do get into everything that went down this week, just your thoughts on Big Brother 23 as a season overall.
So last time I was on here, I talked about the disaster that was Big Brother 22.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
And I did say that if something didn't change this season, they were gonna lose a fan. However, the thing is, BB23 lived so much better. The expectation was lived so much better than what happened last year for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I've been very vocal, a lot more vocal than I have in the past when it came to Big Brother because of how well this season was well received from like fans alike. And I've been really happy of how the season really turned out. Yes, this current end game is a bit down there, but it's still a pretty good season. I'm not gonna lie about that.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's still been a really strong season, but like you alluded to, this endgame, not the best, very much at all. No. I think, look, as I said before, very happy for the cookout and them achieving their mission. All of that is really great, but we are just at a point now where I feel like the best players of the game left 2 rounds ago, and we're just kind of at a point where we have people in the end that didn't really do much. And now it's like we're going to get a pretty lackluster winner as a result. But I guess we'll just go. Oh, what were you going to say? Allie?
Oh, no, I was just going to say that the people that are left are kind of unlikable besides Azah.
Yeah, definitely. But we'll just get into everything that went down. So we do see after the double eviction that Derek F is feeling amazing that he's still in the house and he's now in the top 4. However, he did notice that Kyland and Xavier are most loyal to each other. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Why would that be happening? I don't know. Why would they be so loyal to each other? And he claims to be the mastermind of the season. He doesn't understand this, whatever. But Xavier's feeling a bit upset that he sent Hannah out the door, but he thinks he has a really strong case to win since he was now on the block 5 times and having almost no votes, which is impressive. It is impressive, but I would much rather someone win that was barely on the block than like always on the block. So we then get to see some of what went down.
I would prefer him to win over DF. I just don't really love him that much.
Yeah,
while it's impressive that you've been on the block 5 times and not get any votes, like that only happened because you've been either you were a punishment nominee because of that veto that Xavier won, a pawn because of the fact that you were not the target, but then again you were still paranoid by the fact that you were on the block. Like I can understand why, but again, with that counteraction, I don't know what Xavier can do now to further his game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely he definitely does what he needs to like get himself further this week. But it's like it's Final Four. There's not much you really need to do here. So it's just
not
like,
really.
Yeah, again, it's just...
Also the funniest thing ever though this season was when Alyssa randomly uses that power on DF and Xavier went up.
That was really funny. That was really funny. But,
that was just bad luck.
Yeah, that was great. But we do get to
comments
see...
the comments on like the Twitter posts were hilarious.
Yeah. So we do get to see some of what went down during the double eviction. Azah, we see, wasn't sure where she stood with Hannah since they never really solidified anything. And Derek F is her best friend in the house. And Xavier has had her back in the past. So she thought her best shot was to stay loyal to him. And she straight up lied to Hannah. And when they revealed this, I was like, why? Why? Like, Hannah's literally the only person left in the house that like generally respects you and like wants to get to the end with you and would do it in a way where she wouldn't bullshit you. And then she just took her out. And like, it definitely like I think it's definitely like oddly benefiting her how bad the move was, but it doesn't change the fact that like she absolutely fumbled this HOH, and it's just very unfortunate where I think she could have legitimately had some power and like actually shown her cards, but she chose to just get out the person that everybody else wanted out. So yeah, just very disappointing. But we do see when it came down to the VO, the plan was actually for Kyland to not use it, but he was very adamant about using it on Xavier. Hannah tried to talk him into using it on her, and he was upfront with her about how he wants to go to the end with Xavier. Literally tells her, they're like, oh, I'm going to the end with Xavier. I have a deal with him. Like, why the fuck are you telling her this? Like,
why? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he basically lied to her about the fact that he didn't have any sort of deal. Xavier actually wanted to keep Hannah, but didn't want Azah to have to break the tie, and it could, in fact, hurt his game. So the two of them talk after the veto. One of them actually wanted to be the one to keep her, but couldn't decide between who would do it. So instead, they just made it unanimous. And I'm just kind of like, why? Again, like, I feel like the cookout, they've been, like, having that sympathy vote like every single week, and they've just kind of ditched that now, and I'm just like not really here for it.
We didn't give it was very gross seeing Hannah and Tiffany leave unanimously.
Very much so. But yeah, DF meanwhile acted like he didn't have any idea where either the guys would do, keeping his final three with them to himself. Azah was lost since she didn't think that Kyland would use it on Xavier and wondered if DF was her target. And Kyland said he decided to not split the vote because he realized she was going to go either way. So yeah, I mean, again, just a really horrible week for Azah. She feels really hurt after this since Kyland neglected to tell her he was using the veto on Xavier. And again, you should have just not made that deal with Kyland. Like, I think he proved that like he is not to be trusted in the house, and I think her making that deal with him was a really bad move that could have had a really bad effect on her. It doesn't, but it could have had a really bad effect on her overall.
Xavier talks with Kyland after the double, and they both explain why they need to vote Hannah out. Kyland intends to stick to his final two with Xavier, and it has to leave DF out of that. Xavier says he voted out Hannah to make Kyland feel comfortable with him, but his loyalty is to DF, which was in fact the first final two he made all the way back on day 13.
And I was just kind of like, since fucking when? Like, when did this happen? Like, I feel like they have not done a very good job of like.
I feel like this was just one of the alliances that weren't really shown or talked about.
Yeah, no, this was like this
kind of like that one. Kind of like the one with like Claire and Brittany and Tiffany, I think.
Yeah. There was one that Azah made too, like very early on in the season with like Claire and Tiffany that didn't go anywhere. But
I feel like those are probably just like side deals.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I was just kind of like, when the fuck did this happen? Like, they have not covered this at all. This was like the most like narrative of the entire season. So I was just so confused by like what Xavier was talking about here. But yeah, apparently him and Derek F have had a final two since like fucking day 13, even though he has not spoken about it until now.
Which I was very confused about, because
that's what I'm saying.
Like, yeah, like you said, like, when was this? I don't think I ever saw that in the live feeds or, of course, during the episodes. Because again, episodes this year, I will say, they've been so like alliance heavy. Like,
oh yeah, they've been way too quick.
Like they just wanted to. All they talked about was alliances, and I was like, where is the other stuff about this? Like, this was why I was more engaged with the live feeds much more than I have in the past.
Yeah, they really didn't focus enough on like the side deals.
I agree. Azah feels bad she had to put up her own ally and clears the air with DF. DF talks to Xavier and says that while he's frustrated, he's not mad at him, but isn't sure what to make of what happened with the veto. He recognizes at this point Kyland has a final 2 with him.
Which again, like just the way the DF was just finding this out now, I'm like, this should have been obvious. Like literally, Kyland spent the entire week trying to protect Xavier, use the veto on him. Like alarm bells should have gone off in Derek F's head there, but Derek F is not a rational player. So that's why he's not thinking that way. But if he had any sort of rational sense in him, he would recognize that, yeah, they probably have some kind of deal. But unfortunately, he did not and just continues to be one of the worst players I think this game has ever seen. Legitimately.
The house guests are given a look at the new CBS series CSI Vegas and then are told that will be the theme for this week's HOH competition. They will each be competing one by one. Unsurprisingly, Xavier ends up pulling off the win here with a time of 10:18 and has now secured a spot in the final 3.
And I mean, to his credit, like we did say before, Xavier has not done much. He is doing the thing that you need to do at this point, which is to win out. Like that is what he's doing at this point. He's winning the comps that he needs to. That is definitely impressive. But the thing is, like, he has been throwing comps almost the entire season. I don't think it's that impressive that now he takes that initiative. Like if he would have done it like early jury, like to now, that would have been really good. But he was throwing comps like most of the season, and it's like now you decide to like step it up. It just feels a little too late in the game.
Yeah. DF once again complains about not winning the comp because that's what he does best, complaining.
He loves doing that. I think we've said this before, but like that guy's never happy. Like he's literally never happy.
Complains also the fact that certain competitions, and I do have to say that some of the competitions this year wasn't to his advantage, unfortunately.
But what was?
Like that was the biggest issue, and of course the only comp that he actually was okay in, and I say okay just because I was like, you didn't need to play this, the Coin of Destiny, because you saw how difficult that challenge was, and I'm still thinking back to this day, like to this day, him playing the Coin of Destiny was one of the worst moves he has ever played because he didn't need to. Yes, he had the money. He should have just played and just like sat around and done nothing. Because
I think it's that, and then also when he was playing that one veto and took all the cash, like those are some of the worst possible moves he could have made. Like he had a chance there to like actually like show he was there to play, and he just fucking took all the money, and everyone knew he did it.
And yet Tiffany's the selfish one.
We love misogyny.
And also, they literally emotionally manipulated her to put up Claire.
They did.
Sadly.
Which was gross.
Very gross. Very
much so.
Yep. Kyland feels really dumb for not winning this one and knows that he needed to do a lot better than he did.
No shit.
He talks to DF and says he knows that if Azah wins veto, she doesn't take him, and he felt like he needed this the most. And they both know the veto is what it comes down to this week.
And I'm just like sitting here like, Kyland, you should have fucking known this was gonna happen. Like Xavier did not have your back, and the fact that he thought that he did, I just like, I'll never understand it. Like I feel like Kyland should really be regretting taking out Tiffany and Hannah here, but
he should have trusted them.
Done is done.
Xavier talks to Azah and she asks him if he had a final 2 with Kyland, and he avoids the question and lies to her about it. She still doesn't know where he stands with either of them, and know that no matter what, she and DF are probably going to be separated by the end of the week.
Yeah, I didn't understand why he lied to her here. It's like, it's Final 4. There's no reason to be lying at this point. I thought it was very unnecessary because realistically, like, he could have said, yeah, I do have a final 2. I don't plan to, like, I don't plan to hold my end of it. And I think this is where Xavier's biggest flaw is that there are things that he absolutely should be doing and taking advantage of. And I think one of the things he definitely should be have taken more advantage of in this game is the fact that Azah has a crush on him and Azah likes him. Like, she is so close to him in that way. And he's never used that to his advantage, but he very much should have, like, this entire season. And I think that just would have made things like so much more impressive in that way. And he really hasn't.
And the fact that was put on full blast with Zingbot, yet that wasn't acknowledged still. What? Come on.
Oh my gosh.
The fact that that's one of the only like real things that Azah did, like in terms of the edit, is also unfortunate.
Oh yeah, let's play. The fact that like that was the whole narrative, that whole season, like the whole season with like the edit, and of course, like as been like a more casual feeder this year, I was like, this is not what Oz is known for, and of course they had to play that for the casuals, and I was just like, okay, I see why. All right, next.
He talks to DF and brings up how he is planning to put him up, but he feels with the final 3 HOH, one of them could beat Azah but not Kyland. DF is unsure how to feel about cutting Kyland since he has his ties with him. Xavier tries to persuade him to do so since he is such a strong competitor. And then he goes ahead and nominates Azah and Kyland for eviction.
Which I'll be honest, I was shocked about. Like, I thought he was going to go ahead and do Azah and DF just like initially and then backdoor Kyland, but that's not what he ended up doing. He went right for the jugular, and, you know, I'm glad he did what he needed to do, but like, you know, immediately it should tell Kyland, like, yeah, he's not with me, but Kyland does not have that foresight throughout this entire week, and that's why what happened to him ultimately happened. So we do get to Wednesday here. Not a lot to talk about. I'll say that right now. Really not a lot to talk about here at all. This is a very lackluster episode, but Xavier does say he wants to make sure that him and DF make it to final 3, which is his goal for the week. DF, on the other hand, feels that he's in a very weird spot because he knows that he may have to say goodbye to Azah, and he talks with her and says that she has a close relationship with everyone left. And she asks if he has a final 3 with the guys and Xavier since week 1. She's very annoyed that it's basically like a final 3 with the guys, and she feels really foolish in sending Hannah home, where I'm just kind of like, yeah, I mean, that was a terrible move. You should feel bad.
Oh, yeah.
But like, he tries to make her feel good. She says at this point, if she doesn't win the veto, she's basically going home. And DF then talks to Kyland about how hard this week is for him since him and Azah have been ride or die since the beginning. And Kyland probably makes the worst mistake he could have here, where he doesn't even give like DF an answer. Like, he basically just like talks in circles like he normally does. And this is like the one time I'm like, okay, at least DF is recognizing that like this is not good, that Kyland is not really with him here. I'm like, okay, I will give him credit for that. There's not much else I can give him credit for, but I can give him that. Kyland then says that if nominations stay the same, that DF will be making the sole vote and is essentially trying to threaten him into taking him to the final 2, because apparently they also had some sort of final 2, which again, when was this a thing? When did DF make this deal with Kyland? Like... But like, yeah, that's the thing apparently. And he's hoping that he like holds his end of it. And DF seems very like sketched out by what Kyland is saying. So Azah talks with Xavier and asks who he desires to be a final 3 with, and he tells her that they're all good options to be the first black winner. He says that with him and Kyland, he has a bit of a rivalry with him, and he wants to bring Xavier to the end just to beat him. Xavier says he isn't really down for the Batman versus Superman type narrative, which I'm like, Tiffany's the one who brought that up. Stop saying that.
Exactly.
But basically, they talk about how...
they need to stop taking credit for Tiffany's moves.
Yeah, literally. So she says that she can be, and this was such a cringy line. She's like, I can be your Wonder Woman. And it seems that he's leaning towards going with DF or Azah. I was like, stop. I know what you're doing. Please stop. This is so cringy. We then get the most eventful part of the entire week, where we get an entire like 5-minute montage just about Kyland like sniffing shit. He's sniffing like tortillas.
Okay.
Sniffing books. What is going on here?
I was like, what the fuck is happening here? Because,
I don't even know.
Like, I was like, I saw this on the live feeds. I was just like, this better not be in the edit, and it was in the edit. I was just like, I cannot believe they wasted a segment just on the fact that was a thing. Like,
yeah,
literally.
Like, I remember seeing the tweet too. I was just like, oh, they can't be serious. Like, my also, mind you, this episode was on my birthday, so I actually couldn't watch it. Some fun fact. So I was able to rewatch it once everything was released back on Paramount Plus. So I was just like, they really had nothing else to put. So they was just like, all right, let's add this cheesy thing here. No pun intended, because I think they were making quesadillas. So.
Yeah, he did smell cheese at one point. You are correct about that. No, but yeah, I saw it on Twitter too. Like, I saw people on Twitter being like, the only thing they're going to show this week is Kyland sniffing things. I'm like, no, they're not. And then they do a whole segment about it.
What was one of the things? Oh, tortillas.
Tortillas. That was the big thing. He literally, and it wasn't like, here's the thing. If he had picked up the tortilla and just went like that, that'd be fine. But he literally puts his whole fucking face in the tortillas, like with that, like the
if he were blowing his nose and he placed it black on the plate, I was just like, what are you doing?
it's so gross, and I don't know why we needed to show this. Like, what was the purpose? I mean, if you're trying to get me to not like Kyland, I already don't like Kyland, so that's fine. But like,
I used to like him, but not
he was on my draft up until I was just like, okay, I'm over this.
I was a fan of his until he got closer to Sarah Beth. I feel like that's kind of what like ruined his game.
But Sarah Beth is actually tolerable.
Yeah, definitely.
She's actually nice.
Oh yeah.
Oh my, that was a trip. That was like a trip. I was just like, did we really need this? Like, did we really need this?
Yeah.
No.
Like, out of everything.
Oh, by the way, our podcast is brought to you by these.
By what?
TikTok.
Mints.
Oh, yeah. Mints are good.
They are. Xavier talks to DF and he says he can't be emotionally attached and kiss people's asses, and tells Xavier tells him he wants to get him to the final two and doesn't really care about who they end up there with. He knows he needs to persuade him to vote out Kyland. DF feels that there is a lot that Azah has done more than she lets on and didn't lie through the whole game. But Xavier persuades him Kyland is the bigger threat.
And I'm just sitting here like, why do you feel that Azah like is like the bigger threat than Kyland? Like, I just don't understand it at all. Like, Kyland especially is like won the most comps. I feel like the entire season, like that alone should show you that he's like a big threat, because he's probably going to win like parts 1 and 3. So yeah. I mean, I just, like, a lot of the season, I did not understand his logic here at all.
Honestly, Derek F is just like Xavier's puppet.
Literally. I mean, part of it, I will say, like, there is like a little bit less gameplay now, just because they're I feel like some of it's like it's made up stuff now.
Oh, very much. It's like Tiffany and Hannah were like the people that were doing most of the work, and now that they're gone, everyone's just like taking credit for their shit.
It's like, I cannot wait for the jury questioning tomorrow, because like, I really want to see, what did you really do? Like, and then of course, I cannot wait for the moment that Tiffany and Hannah clocks them for all this, because it's just like, hey, wait a minute. Of course,
but Brandon, Derek F, he came up with the cookout. You know, like, he was the first one to propose it to people. Like, because he was the first one to speak, even though he completely left Hannah out of it. Like, he came up with the cookout. It was all him.
Oh yeah, I'm so excited for the jury roundtable where everyone is like going after Kyland.
Oh yeah.
That's gonna be interesting. Let's hope I hope it's not like that. It'll probably be better, because of course everyone else like that watched within like all the jury stuff, because like they did say that Kyland did get a lot of blood on his hands, but he's not using it well, unfortunately.
Yeah, not at all, no.
Oh yeah. Xavier picks Azah to be his guest to see the premiere of CSI Vegas with him, since she won HOH last week. DF apologizes to Azah and says he shouldn't have made her feel like she didn't have his back or didn't care, and he's been very emotional today with the fact she was willing to save him, and he needs to take that.
It's not the only time he's gonna antagonize her. We'll get into that next episode.
It's time for the final veto of the season. The house guests have to correctly identify the day in question. Each ball will count out all the numbers. Whichever player answers last gets a strike, and 2 of which automatically eliminate them. In the most important veto of the season, Xavier does once again win this one and now has all the power this week.
Which, like, again, cool. He won a comp, but, like, whoop-de-doo.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo, unfortunately. Something I will say, though, they did... Okay, I don't remember the last time they did this comp, because, like, not like the counting, but when they had, like, when they used the scale.
Yeah, that was cool.
Because, I remember correctly, I think the last time they did this, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if, like, this is... last time they used the scale was BB16. It was an HOH comp where they had to like bring, I think, either 2 or 3 things from one end to another.
Yeah.
And I was a bit surprised that they implemented this for the veto with like the number of days. Because of course, in the past, it was like the whole 1 and 5 thing where they have to like if you remember that.
Or they have to like climb, yeah.
Well, no, not climb, because like it was one of them, like they had to press buttons where they were just like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was like this was like a good comp for this because it was just like an actual test of balance and also like being steady, but also at the same time be a little bit efficient in a way.
Yeah.
So I was happy that we were able to see a different type of comp, unlike what we've seen in the past now, where they kind of recycle but still use like the same like concepts of sorts.
Yeah, they've done a good job this season. I've said this of like kind of like mixing things up a bit, like doing comps that are sort of familiar, but putting their own like little spin on them. I think that's something they have done a good job with this season, and also like not as many physical comps. That's something else I've really appreciated. So yeah, I will definitely agree that like I've enjoyed the majority of the comps they've done this season.
One thing I am happy about is they didn't do the hide veto comp this year because this is the first time in a while I've actually seen a house actually clean the house for once.
Yeah. Usually that comp like messes everything up.
Because like this season, like I've never seen like someone actually have like they actually have like a cleaning schedule where these people have to like take turns on cleaning whatever stuff they have to do around the house, and I was just like, I don't think I've ever seen a season do that, because I remember there was one season, unfortunately I have to say his name, Jeff called out the house for being too messy.
Yeah.
And of course,
I feel like every season is like it's a messy house. This is like the first time it wasn't. So
exactly. Like I was so impressed with it. Like a clean house for once. Like where has this like when was the last time they did this?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. We love that.
For sure.
After the veto, Kyland is feeling devastated that he didn't pull us off, but he trusts DF and Xavier to have his back. Xavier walks in and says that he isn't feeling good about Xavier, assures him he has his back, but Kyland isn't sure why he doesn't want to have a veto conversation with him. He's pretty sure DF would save him, but he's unsure overall.
Yeah, which we'll get into what we actually want to talk about, which is what happens on Thursday, which I'll just say right now, like as boring as this endgame has been, one of the best Final Four evictions I've seen in a while. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
One of the most memorable. Like this is definitely, I think, up there with like Shane leaving in Big Brother 14. There's some other really good ones I can't think of, but that's the one that I'm thinking of the most. This was very much like that, where it was super messy, and yeah, I was really here for it. But let's just get into it. So DF is very unsure what Xavier's really going to do with this veto. He knows he may have to be the one with the sole vote, and he talks to Kyland about it, and he says there isn't a reason to take them out since he's been so loyal to them. And DF says he's giving him the same advice he gave Azah, and Kyland feels that she's done less, which is like, yeah, that's why they need to take you out. Like, what a horrible pitch. Like, oh, Azah's done less, I've done more. Like, yeah, that's why you need to go. But Kyland takes the time to make fun of the fact that DF isn't really willing to make this move when they've been doing it all season. DF knows he's going to have to make some kind of deal no matter what. And I do like the fact that Kyland put him on blast here, but I feel like it's a little too late to do that. Like, I feel like if you really wanted to like hone in on the fact that like Derek F hasn't done much. Like you probably just should have gone for him like when the cookout got to the 6, but you know, that's not what happened. So the DF does tell Azah that if Xavier were to leave nominations the same, he doesn't really know what he's going to do. And this really worries her that he isn't really on her side. Remember, they just had an argument, like they just made up. And now there's another one that he ends up starting where basically he talks about how, you know, this worries her that he isn't really on her side after consistently working with her. And I mean, I feel like she definitely like had a right to be upset here, especially because, you know, he has this guy's alliance and things like that. Like I think definitely the you know, she had a right for sure. So Xavier tells both of them, though, that Kyland wants to do the BVS thing. He isn't as sure about that, since he does know that DF isn't there if Kyland does win, and Azah might have more incentive to take him. Azah basically says that she just vote out Kyland, which I'm kind of sitting here like, I'll believe it when I see it, Azah. Like, you said you were going to do that on your HOH week. You didn't do it. I don't know if she'd actually do it. And that's why I'm not going to lie. I'm not really sure if Azah is going to go through with what we think she's going to at the finale, because she just hasn't shown she's like willing to make those moves. Like, it's a lot of like, you know, you talk a lot about what you want to do, but you got to actually like show it, like, you know, practice what you preach sort of thing. That's kind of like where I'm at with Azah. She hasn't really done that.
Yeah, that's true.
Very disappointing. But Xavier says that no matter what happens, Kyland is going home. It's just a matter of who's really going to take the shot. He knows that this is his target. And Azah and DF then have this whole fight over, like, they're basically fighting over who Xavier is going to pick. This is what it's come to. It's like, who is Xavier going to sit next to at this point? They're okay with sitting next to him. DF, because for some reason he thinks he can beat him, but I digress. Basically, DF says this could be the first time he's going back on a deal, and Azah doesn't understand why this is such a difficult decision for him. And again, like, I just don't understand why he is even struggling with this. Like, I feel like Azah has been his ride or die since like they formed the teams. I don't know why he wants to like turn on her now. It just didn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Azah asks Xavier if she listens to people, and DF says there's a ton of stuff she doesn't know about that he's done. He basically feels... Yeah, right, literally. DF has done nothing.
Literally.
Except whine.
Yeah. Wine and get bed sores.
Yep. He basically feels he dragged her to get to this point, which she very much disagrees with him, and she says that he is the one that kept her from going on the block. She finds it very hurtful that he is accusing her of not playing this game, especially since she won that Final 5 HOH. DF goes on to vent to Kyland about it, while Xavier comforts Azah and reminds her what she has done to get here. He tells Xavier how much Azah is bothering him, and he brings up how it is in fact her first time on the block and they need to cut her some slack for that. And DF says that he feels like he has been for her for everything, and now she wants to take credit for it. This really makes Xavier doubt DF isn't going to get it done and now wants to take Azah off the block.
And again, just it shows the kind of player that DF is, that like he isn't even willing to like take the shot. Like I honestly wasn't sure if he was going to either. Like I thought he was going to get out Azah because he's just that bad of a player. Like I didn't know if he was actually going to like make this move.
Everyone seems to think, oh, sorry. And now we get into a jury host segment, which
that's part of the episode.
Which is like, honestly, this is the best part of the week.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't know how many times I've rewatched this part because all I want to do is watch Tiffany and Hannah.
It's so good.
And I'm like, at this point, the jury is much more entertaining now than the house at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're doing those like Instagram live things they're doing where like they're showing the inside of like the jury house and things like that. But like I wish they did that on the feeds. That would have been cool.
I wish they need jury house feeds. Everyone
like
wants
when they cut to fish, it should be cut to the jury house. Don't cut to puppies.
Yeah. Please, I want that. We've been asking for it for so long.
We love the puppies, but we want to see the jury house.
Puppies, yes. Like I remember, what was it? It was like the start of this jury segment. I was just like, okay, we're about to be served a really good segment here because, of course, and I've been I appreciate what they've been doing this entire season with the jury segment. Like, detailed, they actually want, like, they're actually, like, giving people the time instead of, like, rushing it like have they done in the past.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
they've been very long and, like, informative, which I've appreciated.
Yeah, it's, like, amazing. Everyone seems to think Hannah will be the next jury member, but they are all shocked when Tiffany enters. While she is disappointed to enter the house, she takes it in stride, knowing they viewed her as a threat. Alyssa seems to be impressed by Kyland's game, but everyone else agrees that winning comps means nothing and that this was a bad move for Kyland.
And makes sense, because Alyssa also did nothing but win comps.
Yeah, Alyssa's social game was terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand why, like, she agrees with, like, the whole game sentiment, but again, like, Kyland did not... like, yes, he won a lot of comps, but he didn't use that to his advantage, unfortunately.
No, he had such a poor social game almost the entire way through.
Yeah. Tiffany then goes ahead and tells them about the cookout and takes all the credit for forming it, as well as the master plan, and they all agree she would have won if they brought it to the end.
And them saying that made me so upset. I was like, fuck.
And that the master plan will be a legendary one within Big Brother, which, as she should get all the credit.
I know, but it was so rotted when they're like, "Oh my god, we would have voted for you at the end." I'm like, "Fuck, I would have loved it." Like, she literally would have won unanimously.
I know.
It would have been so good.
She would have. And I will say about this, if she wasn't the first one to talk about it, the narrative would have changed entirely.
Oh yeah.
Because the master plan was all her. I'm not sure who was the first one to form the cookout specifically, because like she said, like everyone in that house that was in the cookout, they, like she said, telepathy. So it's just like they pretty much thought the same thing, as in like we gotta stick with each other.
Yeah, as much as it sucks that Tiffany did go out, the good thing is that now anything that Xavier or Azah or like DF take credit for, they're going to know is bullshit because Tiffany did it.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that's the only good thing, is that they're not going to be fooled by what they said.
Mm-hmm.
They then find out it was another double eviction. And everyone is shocked once again when Hannah walks in. They are happy to see Azah has won her first HOH, but was frustrated Azah didn't want to break her deal. They seem very unimpressed by this move, as they should.
As they should.
Very much.
That wasn't even in the notes. I just added that.
No, it wasn't.
Obviously.
Yeah, we just read from like our portions.
Yeah.
I see that.
Tiffany is convinced after this the guys are working together and expects Azah to be next. DX feels he is unsure who would win it between Kyland and Xavier, and at the end, but everyone seems to be leaning towards X since he had better jury management and never got personal.
And again, the fact that it's just like the bare essentials, that's just what disappoints me. Like, Tiffany did so much and Hannah did so much, and then Xavier, it's like, oh well, he was like decent to people. It's like, that's it. That's it. Just because he was like decent to people, and like people said he was a threat to win when he really never really was that big of a threat to win. They just kind of started the arc that he was a threat to win, and then he became a threat to win. Like,
I think they should have saw that coming right after he won that veto in the first double eviction.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I said it then, like, that should have immediately like put alarm bells in everyone's head that like, we need to target Xavier. Like, he's going to win everything. He wants to be the ringleader of the cookout. We need to get him out. But for some reason, they just, besides Tiffany and Hannah, they just didn't want to do it. And I just don't get it. Like, I literally don't understand why they went about it that way. But unfortunately, that was the case. But then we get to the good stuff. We get to the final four veto ceremony. And
well, I mean, the jury house was the good stuff, but
I mean, yeah, but this is the stuff that I feel like people are like really gonna remember this episode, because it is quite a memorable exit, to say the least. So we get to the eviction. Xavier does ultimately decide to not use the veto, which does put the power in a DF's hands. And at this point, I'm like, oh no, what is he going to do? I didn't know what was going to happen here, which is a lie. I already knew what happened, but like, you know, just if I didn't know, that's what I would have been thinking in this moment. But Azah does give a speech about her family and brings up how close she and DF have been in this game. And Kyland just talks about how much he'd love to like finish out the week. I didn't know what he was talking about. He was like, I love to finish this out with you. It's like, what do you want to finish out? Like, I don't understand.
It kind of sealed his fate in some type of way.
Pretty much.
Because I don't know if you all saw, but Kyland had, I think, Derek's ring of something.
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, that's true.
And he put that away just right before I think Derek was about to submit his vote. I was just like, oh, this is gonna be messy. I can tell.
Yeah.
And then
we get to the actual eviction where DF probably makes the quickest Final Four decision I've ever seen. Like, usually it's like a very elongated speech about how, oh, we love you so much and we want to work really close with you and things like that. But he gets to the point, he's like, I owe nobody anything. I play this game for me and only me. And he does, in fact, evict Kyland here, which seems pretty straightforward, right? Yeah, no.
I mean, okay. Just because he was the sole vote to evict him, it was still Xavier's move.
Oh, very much so. But
yes.
What Kyland then proceeds to do here is one of the most explosive evictions I have seen in a very long time for both the right and for like both the rights and the wrong reasons, mostly wrong. But before he leaves the house, he does take the time. He really grills into Xavier. At first, it's just about like why he took him out. You can see that Xavier is like very respectful towards him, and all of that goodwill goes away when for some reason Kyland decides to bring up Xavier's nephew and then starts bringing up how he's like, oh, you're not going to be setting a great example for your nephew. And I think the thing that pissed me off the most about this is when Xavier's like, I highly suggest you stop talking about my nephew in a very stern way. Kyland can tell like he's pissed off right now. He's definitely insinuating that. And Kyland's like, oh, well, I don't think that's up to me. I think that, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what? I didn't know what he was even doing here.
That was disgusting, and you should never bring up someone's family.
Yeah, it was just some very personal low blows, and it gets so bad that like I legitimately thought someone was about to like there was about to be some fighting, like some physical fighting. Xavier got very close to his face, and Julie literally has to like yell at him to leave the house. I've never seen her do that before. This is probably, like I said, it's probably the messiest eviction I've seen since like Awasum. That was definitely like, it was very similar to that, except at least.
Oh my god, I loved when Vanessa.
Okay, but at least Austin was quick about it. Then again, he did not have a bag, so that was.
Yeah, he didn't have a bag or anything. He didn't think it was going to happen. Kyland stayed there for like 2 minutes.
Well, Vanessa evicting him was amazing.
It was amazing. Oh, yeah. Like the thing is about with that whole thing, like I think because they took too long, especially with the fact that they were talking so much, and it's just like again, few moments. What was few about that?
Yeah, nothing about that was few. Like Kyland didn't recognize, like, I need to get out of here real quick. And then he stayed there for like a minute, does what he does best, keeps talking, never shuts the fuck up. And yeah, so again, like I said, literally one of the messiest evictions we have seen in so long. I would not have expected that at Final Four, but I was happy that we at least had something to talk about. I just wish that it was a lot less, icky than it turned out to be, because I think the stuff like him bringing up, Xavier's nephew, leave that out. That's not important. Like, that's not something that needs to ever come up in a game sense. Like, you just don't use people's family members against them. I think that was very rude overall and very uncalled for. But we do get to
so gross.
His interview.
Did we not learn from BB-18 when Devon and Polly had that altercation?
Very much me of that.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was similar too, because like it looked like Devon was like also about to like go off on Polly, similar to this with like Xavier and Kyland, where they had to like almost like forcibly remove them. Like I thought they were gonna get someone to like remove Kyland out of the house, but thankfully
Same.
didn't
They
escalate.
could have. They could have.
They could have. I thought they were going to. He almost didn't leave, so they very well could have. But in his interview, he does talk anything after the first week, which, okay. He talks about how he wanted to play like this very upfront game, and he would have been lying to Derek F if he showed that he had his back. And he wishes he talked to him a bit more, but he doesn't regret lying. And so he says that the final two with Xavier is the one he was very much down to honor, especially since it's had a name, that being the gentleman. And he knew once Xavier didn't use the veto, he knew what was probably going to happen from there. And again, I'm just thinking like he never once admits that like this was a bad move. He should not have stuck close to Xavier. I just feel like Kyland in general, he does not want to own up to the fact that he did not play a good game and that he did not make a good move here. Even at the end of it, he does not want to bring that up. In the goodbye message, we see DF brings up how Kyland didn't answer him at the final two, and that didn't really make him feel safe. Xavier brings up how he convinced DF to actually vote him out, and before he leaves, he does something that I thought was really weird. He goes to Julie and he's like, I would love to come back. You should bring me back. I really realized I was good at this game. You should try to bring me back at some point. And I'm just like, no.
That's not how you do it.
Okay,
don't suck up. Don't.
The ones coming back are all of the jurors.
Not him. Yeah, literally.
All of the jurors. No, just
all
the
the girls
jurors.
except for Whitney and DX. Those are the people coming back.
Yeah.
I don't think
We're not going to. We're not going to worry about the pre-jurors.
Yeah, I don't think any of these cookout.
Actually, the only pre-juror I say is maybe Travis, just because he didn't really get a fair shot.
Travis or Christian, I could see.
Yeah, Travis and Christian, because
and then probably Christian.
Yeah,
just because he actually is nice.
Yeah, but I mean, just such a weird way to end the interview, because Julie's like, expect the unexpected, and I'm like, stop. I would have been like, anyway, let's move on. But yeah, that was just such a weird thing that he brought up there. But we are then told that this season, just like the prize money, the money for America's Favorite is also going to be doubled, which is going to be $50K, which for Tiffany, everyone put in those votes. You have one more day to do it.
Vote for Tiffany, please.
Yeah, you have until 12 Eastern time, so 9 Pacific.
Yes.
So that hopefully I'm already voted, so we'll be.
I'm just tweeting again. I just tweeted about it.
Yeah, me too. But definitely do what you can to vote for Tiffany, because she deserves all the love. And that's really it. We're at the final 3 here. Like I said before.
Yeah, for Friday and Sunday's episodes, we didn't really take notes for, because they were just kind of like, we didn't really need to. But Friday, so we'll just do like a overview.
Friday, I guess we could, yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Fridays was just basically the final 3 got videos from home, and it was just a look back episode, like usual. And then Sundays was just the final 3 talking about their games, and it was part 1 of the HOH comp.
Yeah, we'll talk about part 1 in the finale. But yeah, I mean, there wasn't really much to talk about. It was really just like them pitching their cases to win, which I actually thought Azah had probably the strongest pitch, especially with her talking about she played like a really like under the radar game and like was very like honest to people. Like I think that's a really good strategy that she has. I think the only thing that really hurts her is that she did lie to Hannah, and I think that's definitely something that she should not have done, because it kind of breaks the game that she wanted to play. But I do think like Azah probably does have like the best story, but sadly I don't see anyone winning except Xavier at this point, just because of the way things are going. I feel like the jury's very inclined to vote for him. I feel like, especially with the way that Derek F has been acting towards Azah, which, I mean, we'll talk about it more in the finale, but like he has really just squandered any chance of him getting into the final 2 at this point. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see a scenario in which Xavier doesn't win at this point. I mean, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think Xavier and Azah definitely have the best shot.
Could we talk spoilers for what happened for the part 1 and 2?
I mean, no, I was gonna wait till the finale to do that.
Okay, all right. Then I won't say.
I usually wait to do that.
Then I won't say anything, because of course we do know what happens.
Yeah,
so I just don't want to like.
I usually wait till the finale, just because like we can talk about it all in like a vacuum. So
I get it. Yeah, I feel no worries. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to me.
No, you're fine. But yeah, I mean, we're at the finale finally. I will say I do feel like this season has gone by pretty quickly because of like how much we've been into it.
It's also because it started late.
Yeah, that too. The end game definitely has not been the best, but we are going to have the first Black winner of Big Brother. That is something we should be excited about for sure. It's just not necessarily, I think, the amazing winner that we really wanted, because really, unfortunately, at the end of the day, none of these people really played that great of a game. Even Xavier, I feel like, had a lot of flaws in his game. There were a lot of people that he could have stayed closer to, and he didn't. There's a lot of things that he kind of just like sat out of, and I think he should not have done that. Like, yes, the cards fell into his lap, but I feel like in some ways, like, that wasn't really him doing it. It was people saying that he was a threat to win, and then people wanted to work with him for some reason. Like, I don't really feel like he did a lot. I feel like people just like wanted to sheep him, and that's why he's at the end. So
the whole final three did not play a perfect game.
Yeah, no, not at all. But that's really it, I think. Before we do close things out here, Brent, I am going to give you a chance to plug any socials and things like that, so go right ahead.
All right, so you can follow me at MonsterCatWoo. Spelled with a K, not with a C, because don't want to get confused with the record label. I do. You can find me there on Twitter, Twitch, and I just added a Patreon. So So I wanted to get a little further with my content creation when it comes to outside of Twitch. Outside of right now, I'm actually recording a new podcast myself. It's called The Pokemon Contrast.
Cool.
So I am recording episodes as we speak, so they're not live, unfortunately. But once they're out, I'll let you know when. But when it comes to Twitch, I do a lot of variety games, a lot of Pokemon story-driven games, a couple RPGs, and Dead by Daylight. It's been a bit of a journey when it comes to Twitch. I've been streaming for almost over a year now. And I've been so grateful when it comes to what I've been doing, and I'm glad that I'm able to talk reality TV in addition with what I do with video games on top of this. So just because I do a lot of video games does not mean that my passion for reality TV does not stop there. So and I'm glad that you're able to have me on, because
absolutely
it's been interesting with my schedule. So
I'm glad we're able to finally have you on. We are going to be bringing back all our guests for the finale.
We were also supposed to have our friend Danny on this episode, but he's just going through some stuff. So we'll probably try and get him on the finale.
Yeah, we'll see if we can.
I think the last time everyone saw him was during BB Can. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, BB Can. He was on for that with PG. I remember.
Yeah, I hope to watch a bit more reality TV at this as we speak. I want to get into the circle finally.
Are you watching Survivor?
I only watched parts of the first episode because I was celebrating my birthday, so I could not actually. But I will watch when I can.
All right. Because maybe we'll bring you back on for that if you.
Because again, I'm not a big Survivor person. My first season was Millennials versus Gen X. So that
I've watched.
I only watched that one because of Mari because she was on Smosh Games. So that was the only reason why I watched that season, and then she got out so early. So I was just like, well, the season's not worth watching anymore.
With that season, I've actually been compared to Hannah.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Okay.
I think game-wise.
But yeah, other than that, that's really it for this episode of A Conversation with Kely. Very excited, and not really excited to see how this finale plays out. I'm just kind of excited to see how certain things play out. I think we know.
We're just excited for the jury and America's favorite.
Oh yeah, very excited for that for sure. It has been a really strong season. It just hasn't been the most exciting end game, but I am excited to talk about how everything went down. But that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Allie, I think we're gonna be doing the circle after this. We'll see. We'll see you guys in our next video, which will be in a few minutes, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.
Also,